Why do we need an FMG exam? When a student has got admission in an NMC approved college,
The reason why they had implemented this exam is for one thing, to ensure quality.
FMGs are not getting the equality with IMGs and they are being treated as the second-hand citizens. Why is that happening?
That there are around 24 lakh students who are writing the NEET exam. They're all competing for around 1,10,000 seats. The number is quite small.
So there's this myth about FMGs which is going on for a very long time, that FMGs do not know the basics and they hardly know any practicals. Now, does that hold true?
Yes, certain colleges are not offering clinical training.
You are not approving China as a good place to go now. Share your reasons for that.
Generally speaking, it has not been able to produce the best results.
Now, my last question to you, Cadwin. Which country do you think is the most upcoming education for FMGs? FMGs are not treated fairly in this country. This is a very obvious fact, but people still are not talking about it. They have got unfair rules for internship. They have to post dharnas to make their voice heard, and NMC doesn't give a shit about them. Today, we have a very special guest to talk about these issues. He is the managing director of Trans World Educare, and he has helped at least 9,000 plus students for studying abroad. He has known the FMG culture inside out, and he is the best person to talk about these issues. He is managing Super Speciality Hospital, the NM Wadia Super Speciality Hospital. He has his own teaching ecosystem in Mahabalipuram and Pune, and he has seen students having their own problems. He is the one person who has taken the will to solve all these issues. He supports policy changes, increasing the FMG pass rate, and making medical education accessible and cost effective for all the students. Let's put our hands together and let's welcome Mr. Cadwin Pillai. So hi Cadwin and welcome to the Nachiket Bhatia show.
Hi doctor. Pleasure to be here.
Cadwin, you are an engineer by profession.
Yes.
And today you are a managing director of a leading company in India.
Yes.
Who is actually managing healthcare and education,
Yes.
especially of doctors.
Yeah.
How did that transition happen?
So I think it's a story which is similar to what a lot of people throughout India would be having and throughout the world itself. Of course, I had my passions. I had certain things which I did wanted to go behind as well. But, there's always a saying, you do engineering to find out what your goals are a little bit more clearly. And yes, this was a family business, which I took over. I took over the role of managing director of a company around 10 years ago because there needed to be a person to help my father at that time itself. So I started out helping him in certain tasks and all. And later on, I took up more management roles and then later on the complete assignment. So yeah, over time, I did build up working together with him. And 2015 onwards, I took up the directorship of the company itself. Responsibilities always come up to a person when you may least expect them, and you should take them up as and when it is required. This is a large responsibility which was thrust upon me, and I took it up with a stride.
And
Yeah.
that's great. A young entrepreneur. I think you will achieve great things.
Thank you, doctor.
But today's topic is going to be a very serious one,
Sure.
Cadwin. You have been working with FMGs. Your father, the great David Pillai sir, has been one of the leading persons in our country to actually help medicos study abroad. You have a great network of students. So I think you're the right person to discuss this.
Sure.
Why is our country, why is the government of India completely against the welfare of FMGs? Because I think the more I read the articles, the more I thought that whatever that is happening is basically brutal. FMGs are not getting the desired respect in our country. FMGs are not getting the equality with IMGs, and they are being treated as the second-hand citizens. Why is that happening?
Okay, so yeah, that's actually a very loaded question, a lot of points to that. Now, when you actually see about the treatment of FMGs as well, yes, I would definitely say that it is not to the same way that anybody would treat an IMG. Whereas, you look at in general out there, both of them have completed the same course. They've completed the same studies. They've gone through the same exercise throughout. So then they require equal amounts of respect, that is trust upon each one of them. But there are many factors which then come into play and why both of them are looked at differently. One is from mainly the government or perspective, why that also is. So that comes from two lines of thought. One is when a student is going abroad to pursue education, they are going in search for a medical seat abroad because they were unable to actually get it in India. So the message that sends is that we are unable to provide equal opportunities for most of the people. Now, very well that there are around 24 lakh students who are writing the NEET exam. Okay, that's what the statistic was last year. This year, I think it'll be even more higher. Now, a majority of these students are all trying for medicine. Okay. And they're all competing for around 1,10,000 seats. Okay, the number is quite small. So you have 24 lakh to 1 lakh. So, you have only around a 4% chance of getting through, okay, getting a medical seat. So, yeah, there is huge competition. Then there is also the requirement for more doctors in India. Now, in a lot of ways, the government and a lot of the private side, I wouldn't want to name specifically, there is a need to say that, okay, fine, don't go abroad. Look at options over here in India. Okay, you can't do medicine, look at another course or look at something else, because each student going abroad, let's not mince our words over here. They are causing a loss to the country in certain ways. But there is a requirement. There is a requirement for more doctors in India. The doctor to patient ratio, of course, statistics and other things, we can always debate about it. But there is a need for doctors throughout India. That's why they're going abroad. And when they are unable to get it done here, they go abroad. Then they come back over here doing the same degree. Then again, you have the FMG exam come up. Now, in this exam itself, you have a very low pass percentage. So this adds on to the fact that, okay, fine. That means that the quality of doctors who are coming from abroad is very low, because look at the pass percentage in the FMG. So then when you see that, then immediately the public eye is that, okay, fine. That means that the quality of the students is bad, because you have only 1/5 of the students who are passing this exam. Now, of course, I'd like to come back to why the pass percentage is that low as well. So that adds to the public perception. Another thing is that the general public and everybody else looks at these students in a way thinking that, okay, fine, they've only gone abroad because they did not score well enough to get a medical seat in India. That's not usually the case. Now, even with us, we have students who have scored over 650 in last year's NEET exam. They did not join any medical college in India, is not because they didn't get the seat, but because they were unable to afford the education. But the public perception is that they did not score enough. A general tag comes along that, okay, fine, maybe they were not able to score enough. That's why they've gone abroad to pursue this course. Whereas the reason is completely different. Maybe it's a financial reason, or maybe the student has an interest to go abroad, whatever it may be. Okay. So that is, again, adds to that reason again. And I think these are the two main reasons. One is the results, and just the general perception that you want to increase the number of students who stay back in India. Of course, a lot of initiatives are being taken by the government to look at that deficit for the number of students who are looking to pursue medicine and the number of seats which are available in India. Even I think a few weeks back, there was in the financial report by given in the parliament, there was the number 75,000 seats which are to be added to the medical education system over the next 5 years, which if that does happen, I'm sure that will ease out things a lot, and definitely it'll be a huge boost. Yeah.
True. But Cadwin, my question still stands.
Mm-hmm.
The government of India always takes out rules which are pretty much against the welfare of FMGs.
Mm-hmm.
I still remember I think last year it happened. I might be missing. Last year it happened that the government announced that there's a 3-year unpaid internship rule for FMGs.
Yes, yes.
Now, what actually is the reason behind this rule?
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the government must have seen something which maybe I am missing. Maybe, of course, you must be knowing that. What is the actual reason behind this kind of, I would say, very unfair rule that the government is taking out against the FMGs?
Yeah, so again, rules such as this, generally they, the reason why they were implemented and what they end up being itself is, it causes a lot of issues. So the reason why they had tried to, and the reasoning behind why they had tried to implement this rule is because if you generally see India, we lack doctors in a lot of places, a lot of areas, especially the rural areas in our country. The reasoning was that, why not get these doctors to work in these rural areas? You have a lot of these FMGs coming back. Get them to work in these rural areas where a lot of the local graduates are not going. Okay, because those guys are going to be practicing at their own hospital where they've graduated. So send these guys to the rural areas, balance that out, and it'll help the system. But what ends up happening is that students are going and working for 3 years. It's not a short time. Even though they've paid.
That too unpaid internship.
Yeah, exactly. It's an unpaid thing. So they would have paid a decent fees, not too high, but a decent fees, something they would have paid to study abroad. It's not coming for free. They're coming back over here. Working for 3 years is definitely not an easy thing. And the government really needs to rework, these implementations. And I think they are in the process of doing so. And there were changes made to this regulation as well. Another reasoning they had behind this was because they said that a lot of them have not done enough practicals, especially during the COVID time period. So because of that, we want you to do more internship in these areas to compensate for it. Again, this doesn't really match up, the reasoning behind it and the implementation of the rule. So I think better, more thorough study behind this needs to be done before implementation of those. A paid internship, I think, would be more welcome because, yes, these students have spent some money to go abroad. So, yeah, I think more study definitely needs to be done by before the implementation of these rules, and hope that it takes place better in the future. Yeah.
Let me ask you another deep question.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard chatter about this thing, but I'll still ask you up. Why do we need an FMG exam? When a student has got admission in an NMC approved college, I think all the FMG colleges outside India, of course, are NMC approved. So just like India, there's also an NMC approved college. Outside India is an NMC approved college, but IMGs are not giving the FMG exam or any kind of exam. They simply pass their prof examination and they become a doctor.
Yeah.
Why do an FMG graduate has to prove that I'm worthy enough to practice in India when they have studied from an NMC approved college?
Yeah. So that's a very good question, actually. And I would go one step further saying that maybe an examination should be implemented, not just for the FMGs, but for all. The reason why they had implemented this exam is for one thing only, to ensure quality. To ensure quality for students when they are coming back to India, to ensure that students are being taught adequately enough. Now, of course, medicine itself is not something to be taken lightly. A person needs to be very thorough when they are going to the medical field. They cannot have any lacunas in any field. You're a doctor, so you definitely cannot tell a patient that okay fine नहीं boss ये मैंने पढ़ाई नहीं किया था आप दूसरे डॉक्टर से जाके पूछ लो. You cannot have that. In an emergency situation when help is needed, definitely you need to be 100%. So yes, the FMG exam is required to ensure quality, because even though a lot of these colleges do meet the requirements, what is actually being taught in the classroom that may not be up to the mark, because there's no amount of paperwork, no amount of documentation or anything that can prove how well an individual student uh, is acquainted with the subject, unless he or she writes an exam. And like I said earlier, I really do believe that this exam shouldn't be limited to FMGs. It should be for all.
True.
It should be for all graduates. One is the same reasoning, like I said earlier, quality assurance. Quality assurance doesn't need to be just for FMGs, it needs to be for all. It needs to be for all students, no matter where they graduate from. It needs to ensure that it also gives us a good understanding of how well each college is actually teaching. Because even right now, what do we base our point that AIMS, for example, in Delhi is the number one college in India? What is the factor that we go off of? We don't really have anything. Maybe their performance in the PG exam, but that is again, subject to so many other things. Why not have a common examination where all these students who are completing the course then write an examination? Because I think India is one of the few countries where you do not have a common exit test for medical graduates. You see US, UK, all these countries have an exam, not just for foreigners or foreign graduates, they have it for their local graduates as well. Everyone needs to write that exam. This assures quality throughout the board. You can't just say that, quality, we're going to ensure that just these students are given enough quality. I don't want to name the colleges, but there are a few medical colleges even in India where quality is not really up to the mark. To ensure that those guys also push up their quality, are giving better education, you need this common exam. Keep it for the FMGs, no problem, but keep it for all graduates. I would say that is necessary.
Yeah, there's a whole irony in this statement is because the NMC says first we approve this college and then we take an exam of the student whether you have learnt it or not, because we believe that this college is not appropriate or not educate, which is of course the most ironical part. If you feel that this college is not appropriate, then why are you actually approving it? Why not simply say that, okay, build your academics, then we are going to approve it. Why are the NMC, especially the government, actually taking out all the brunt of their own bad decisions on the students? And I believe FMGs are suffering every day.
Definitely.
I talk to the students and then I realize that, okay, your journey is tough because it's not just academics. It's the process. It's the complete hierarchy of problems that you actually go through. And then there is the biggest point, which is you move on to a new place. It is not in India. Okay, I've seen so many people coming from rural areas who don't know English even. And they are supposed to get settled in a foreign land where people are actually speaking a third language.
Yes.
If it's China, it's Chinese and they are not ready to accept English. So imagine a Hindi speaking guy going into there and then learning to settle there. And then he has to imbibe the knowledge as well. Because at the end, he has to learn. So there are so many factors involved. What are the factors that you have seen while you are sending the kids abroad?
No, that's a very good point you're making. The students that usually go over here, we're talking about generally kids. To be very honest, they're 17,
18-year-old kids.
17, 18-year-old kids who are actually joining the medical courses when they're going abroad. Most of the time, 17, 18-year-olds have never left the house in India. फिर भी घर का खाना ही बनाते हैं खुद से, तो खाना कुछ बना भी नहीं सकते. So going to a new place, meeting new people and learning a completely new culture in itself is a shock in many ways for them. So getting settled into that itself is a very, very difficult process. And we try, of course, from our side as much as possible to ease those things. Generally speaking, yes, language is usually one of the problems which students face when they go to these new countries. Of course, in India, most students nowadays, they are taught in English medium, but you do have some students who may have learnt in their local dialect, even from South or Maharashtra, Gujarat, wherever it may be. We've seen students who have had their entire curriculum taught in the local language, and then suddenly going to a new country where you have to speak English, and a little bit of the local language as well. Even though the teaching might be in English, you still might have to maybe speak to somebody else. Of course, the place where we're going to, we're sending students to, is not much of an issue, but there are countries where students generally have this issue where they have to learn another language. Culture is definitely something which is very different. Again, we're talking about kids over here who are used to a certain lifestyle. When they go abroad to these countries, lifestyle may be completely different. A lot of times we have to really make sure that the kids stay within certain boundaries as well. Another thing is food. Food is something which really causes a lot of problems for students, because even when we're speaking to parents and all, I think 50 to 60% of the questions are generally about food. There's only 10 to 20% of the questions will be about the academics and other things. Mostly it'll be about food, little bit about the hostel and their stay. Okay, then it'll be 10-20% about the academics. So it's very, very important for parents and even students. You might enjoy some continental meal once in a while.
Yeah.
But once you go to these countries, then you realize how much parathas you'll be missing.
Roti chawal.
Roti chawal you might miss. So then, those, whatever it is, everything we miss quite a bit. So these students, to get acclimated to all that, even the weather, a lot of times, all these things take time for them. And this is to add on to the burden of their education itself, which is not an easy thing. It doesn't matter where you're starting to become a doctor from. It is difficult. It is not an easy profession. You are, I would say you're doing God's work on earth when you are taking up this profession. So on top of that, getting used to a new environment is definitely a challenge. Yeah.
Katman, tell me this thing.
Yeah.
Like if you have to rate the countries that normally FMGs go to, so which country would be the top and which country would you mark as bottom?
Okay. So this is, I think, a very...
And Philippines can't be on top.
Yeah, so that's the thing, because I'll have to really say that. But see, again, in this question, I think rather than just saying country, you should also see college.
All right.
Okay, because you have different countries, you have different colleges in these countries.
So let's go
well.
with countries first, and the next question will be about colleges.
Okay. So yeah, in terms of quality education, I would generally say Philippines, Georgia. Then you have other Europe. You have Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, Russia, China, and Ukraine used to be options before, but nowadays they are not really all that much preferred. So yeah, these are some of the main countries. Of course, you have tens of other countries where students go to, but these are the main countries which generally I would recommend.
All right. So now give me the top 5 FMG colleges anywhere.
So yeah, I myself recommend Dawa Medical School Foundation. Then we have UV Gulas College of Medicine. Both of our colleges, we are able to get good FMG results. Then you have certain colleges in Georgia. You have Tbilisi State. You have Osh College as well, which is again in Kyrgyzstan. Then you have some colleges in Russia as well. So these are some of the colleges which have been doing well. But myself, I represent DMSF, UV Gulas College of Medicine, and Brokenshire College of Medicine.
Why would you, you represent these colleges, I understand, but what do you think is special about these colleges?
So these colleges themselves, what I would say is special is, of course, their experience in training of Indian students as well. We've been working with Indian students over the last 20 plus years. So these colleges are very adept at training them. They know exactly what the requirements are. There are factors such as language, just the teaching itself, the practical exposure, and other things that you get. But generally speaking, because of our duration in this field itself, the students are better adept to, the teachers themselves are better adept to understanding what an Indian student's requirement is, and they can train them better accordingly as well. Yeah.
So there's this myth about FMGs which is going on for a very long time, that FMGs do not know the basics and they hardly know any practicals. Now, does that hold true?
Okay, so that's a very good question, and I can tie this in with the results that we see in the FMG exam as well. So yes, like I was mentioning a little while earlier, You do have certain colleges which are offering good training, clinical exposure, and other things as well. And certain colleges which may not be offering. But what is happening is generally people are looking at the FMG results. Now, this FMG result itself, of course, though it is showing an overall, very low percentage, this is actually a build-up number. So what I mean by that is you have a certain number of students. Say, for example, the first year, you have 100 students who are taking up this examination. Say even 60% of them pass. Okay. 40 of them will be taking the exam once again in the second year. Okay. So the second year, you'll have another 100 students plus the 40 students. उसका 60% ले लो freshers का, दूसरे वालों का और कम percentage ले लो. That way you keep building up. And what happens is that at the end of the day, you can reach numbers as low as 10-15%. Whereas even in that phase, the new graduates are having an overall 60% pass percentage. Okay. But you have a build-up of students who have failed consistently. Again and again, who will be attempting. That keeps increasing that number. And this is a number which has been building up for decades.
Yes.
Okay. It has built up for decades, number one, and it has reduced the pass percentage quite significantly. So it's not really the ideal representation of the quality of FMGs. Yeah. It is only showcasing how many freshers have passed. Okay. Because the freshers are the ones who have the best chance of clearing the FMG exam. Another thing is that, yes, certain colleges are not offering clinical training, but that number is very less. I would say, 1 in 20 colleges do not offer adequate training because your books are generally going to be the same. Your syllabus is going to be the same. The teaching methodology is the same. The human body is the same no matter where you go. So you're going to be learning the same thing. But yeah, this usually gives rise to the myth that, an FMG graduate is not really trained enough. Yeah.
So there are two countries I want to talk about specifically.
All
That is Ukraine and China.
Yes.
Let's start with Ukraine.
Yeah.
I think Ukraine was such a big tragedy.
Yeah.
The fight was one, of course, but what the government did with our own students, I think it was one of the biggest tragedies in the medical community.
Definitely.
I mean, students are stuck in a war zone and yet our government is not accepting them. And I'll tell you incidents I have seen with my own eyes, and it was unbelievable for me. I was taking a session in FMG and there was a student from Ukraine. He was, I think, sitting in Kyiv or someplace else. I'm sorry, I can't recollect. And that student stopped my session and told me, sir, look, I'll show you something. And then he made me see that there is a bomb falling on the street and there's an explosion. And in that scenario, he's watching that session. It was something I couldn't even imagine for a second, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm still thinking to myself that why is an Indian student who has just gone out to study stuck in such a situation? Why isn't our own government trying to help it out? जब तक मूवी नहीं बनेगा तब तक हेल्प नहीं करेंगे क्या? मतलब ये चीज़ थोड़ा ना होनी चाहिए.
That's very true. It was very sad what a lot of the students had to go through. At that time period, like you were saying, I remember stories of so many students. Some of the students I had interacted with as well. Similar situation. They're running to the border. They're running to the border. They do not have food, anything to eat. They're all happy. They're taking it as a joke in the start. Then later on, they notice these blasts happening, in the distance. They're blocking this all throughout. They're showing how real this situation is for them. It's really heartbreaking because these students, they've gone to these countries to do nothing but to pursue a dream.
Yes.
They've done nothing else. They've done no crime. They are not hurting anybody over there. And they are stuck in a situation which they have nothing to do with. That time period was really a dark moment for a lot of these students, a lot of foreign medical education as a whole, because generally speaking, a lot of steps were trying to be taken by the government. But I think that in certain ways, the students were not happy with what was done, because the last option and the only option which a lot of the students were met with is that you return back to India and you pursue other courses.
I think the second biggest problem in our community which has become is that NMC is now unapproachable. I remember the time when they announced the 3-year internship. I think there were a couple of more clauses as well. I'm not able to recollect. Now, the problem was that, okay, you have announced a policy, you have announced a rule. Let the representatives come and talk to you and discuss the pros and cons. You're not allowing the students to enter into an MC office. Why does everything has to turn to a dharna to basically make the authorities hear our voice? The students went on a strike. They were basically sitting outside the NMC office and they were shouting slogans. This is not a democracy anymore. This has become an autocracy where they simply announce a rule and they expect you to follow it, whether it's right or wrong. And if somebody wants to talk to you, you're not allowing them to enter the premises. What kind of dictatorship is this? There are your own students and they just want to come and talk. They are not fighting, they are not violent. Why not simply let them enter the office and listen to their concerns?
Yeah. So there is a huge shift between what used to be the MCI to the NMC. Earlier, your students could approach the offices a lot more easily to speak about their concerns, of which there were many. And students generally you don't allow the fine if there's a representative that you don't want to speak with, it's okay. Speak to the student, because the student actually has a point. They are the end sufferers, you can say, of the regulations that you implement. They are the end gainers as well of the regulations that you implement. So they should be the voices which are heard the most. And that, for a short time period, I think the NMC was not really too receptive towards. But I believe that changes are being made where it is more easier to approach the NMC. Changes are being done, and I hope that they get implemented as well sooner, because it is not just for foreign graduates. I'm not speaking only about foreign graduates. I'm speaking about medical fraternity as a whole. This is a fraternity which has been through quite a bit. They've been through lots of issues in the past. They are the ones who are targeted quite a bit as well. So generally speaking, making an easier access for them is the need of the hour.
What do you think are the 5 changes that you recommend to actually make the life of an FMG better?
Speaking about 5 things, making the FMG exam more transparent is the main thing. The students need to know how well they are scoring and what they can do to improve. Number 2, they need to have a better system of understanding the quality of the medical colleges which are there abroad. Number 3, like I was mentioning earlier, implement a system where you have this exam, a common exam for all students. Get it for local students, foreign students. That's going to be improving your quality for this. I know the implementation is very difficult, but it is necessary. This will overall increase the quality of education in India, definitely over the long run. Number 4, like we were mentioning earlier, make it easier for the students to be able to approach regarding their concerns. There are many concerns that students, doctors, the fraternity has right now. Make it easier to help them. And number 5, yes, make our system a little bit more modern. We are still going on a very old system. I don't need to speak too much about this, but yeah, we are still going on British era systems right now. The world has moved on. Try to match up to them. Steps are being taken, but not fast enough. I hope that they are done faster.
I think very reasonable points that you have put. Let me ask you a question about China now. You are not basically approving China as a good place to go now. Share your reasons for that.
Okay. So China, I would say, is not really an ideal situation right now to go to. If you are basing it out of the points that a student who goes to China would ideally be coming back to India or going anywhere else. One is language. Language is one of the biggest concerns that these students need to ensure is well taken care of. You need to learn Chinese to be able to communicate with the local patients. Only when you're able to communicate with the patient will you be able to diagnose them well enough. So learning an extra language shouldn't be a burden. Yeah, there are colleges which teach in English, but you still need to speak to the patient.
And is it teaching also in Chinese or is it in English?
No, most of the colleges teach in English,
Okay.
but then the concern comes in the hospital rotations. So you're going for clinical rotations and internships to the hospitals. Not all Chinese speak in English. They
True,
speak
true,
in
true.
Chinese. A majority of China speaks in Chinese. So you need to learn the language. How can you understand the patient's general life itself revolves around Chinese. So that becomes a little difficult. There are certain areas in China where that's not the case, but most of the places where our students are going to, that is generally an issue. Next thing is with regards to results in FMG. Of course, like I mentioned points earlier, it is a little bit skewed towards the negative side, but generally speaking, it has not been able to produce the best results in the FMG as well. Now, that could be because of these language issues and other things, but familiarity with the environment and other things also make a huge difference. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Another point is your food as well. Food definitely is difficult in a lot of the rural areas in China where these colleges are placed. You can have a little bit of Indian Chinese food now and then, but then when you have real Chinese food, a lot of Indians cannot really accommodate too well to that. Weather also makes a huge difference. When you have a different weather pattern, you're going to be facing this diseases that come with that weather.
True.
Okay, so those diseases usually can be very different compared to what you get in India. So yeah, that will make your clinicals different, what you're actually learning different. So yeah, that needs to be something that is concerned about as well. So weather, food, culture itself, the behavior of people really matters, how receptive they are. I'm not saying that's the case in every place, but certain places are there where you may not be getting equal opportunities and treatment. So that definitely needs to be looked at.
So let me ask you this question. Which country has the best people and the least amount of racism?
So yeah, there are a lot of countries which have good relations with Indians and have had it historically as well, where they've treated Indians well. They've had good diplomacy with them. You have Georgia, you have Russia, and of course the country I represent, Philippines, where Indians are treated quite decently. They are treated well and they have good amounts of respect given to them. And lower levels of racism or non-existent racism, I would say, because that is definitely something that we have to face. It's reality. It's a hard fact. But yeah, these countries generally have better, more decency when it comes to Indians. Yeah.
I've heard a lot of good things about Russians, that they are basically they embrace Indians as their own.
Yeah.
All right. So my friends went to Russia for the FIFA World Cup back in 2022.
Okay.
And they were like, the moment the Russians saw us, it was like vodka shot for my Indian friend. And they're like treating you as if you are a part of their own culture.
Yeah.
And it's like Russian Indian bye bye.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
this is the love they found there. And
Yeah,
from them, I am fascinated by Russia. I have not visited the country till now, but that's one of my future plans.
Yeah.
I've seen that you are very bullish about Philippines.
Yes,
I know you work in that country, but tell me something. What's
Yeah.
so special about Philippines?
Okay. So yeah, Philippines definitely, as you were asking the question earlier, I don't think you'll get vodka shots over there, as it's not known for that. And we don't endorse it all too much in our college. But anyway, all jokes aside. Yes, Philippines, generally speaking, they are very hospitable people. They are, and that is what drew us first when we ventured into foreign medical education. The people matter the most when you enter into a new country. How the people treat you will dictate how your time spent over there will be. Okay. And the people over there are known to be hospitable throughout the entire world. If you see the medical industry overall, it has throughout the world, I mean, you would see Indians as one of the most commonly found people throughout. But then even more than that, you will actually find Filipinos who actually have even more, even though they're a smaller country, there are more Filipinos throughout the world who are into the medical field than even Indians. Generally speaking, in the hospitality sector, they are very well known because they are kind-natured, they are very soft-spoken. That generally helps quite a bit. And those small things generally make a big impact in the overall picture. That is what drew us over there. You have your language, mostly it's an English-speaking country. You have your weather, which is very similar. You have the syllabus, which is very similar to India. All these things really matter quite a bit. Yeah.
What are you doing special for your students in Philippines?
So we are doing quite a few things to assist them. Now, when I was speaking to you earlier, and I think this is what where the role of consultants generally comes in, and the role of a lot of partners with the medical colleges comes in. When you're going to a new country, like I said, these are children who are generally traveling. Taking care of their end-to-end needs, making sure that they're well taken care of from day one to the time they graduate, is generally required, and that is something that we try to ensure from the moment they take admission, getting their documentation, getting their visas, making sure their travel, food, accommodation, everything is taken care of. We are there to assist in all of that. And we have our Indian staff, we have our own setup over there to take care of them. We train them a bit for the FMG as well. So all those things are taken care until they come back to India, get registered as a doctor. And we also, even beyond that, even for PG, sometimes even I wouldn't want to say marriages, maybe तब तक भी जो भी assistant चाहिए रहेगा, all those things we are providing them. Yeah.
I've seen that you have built some beautiful campuses in Pune and Chennai.
Yeah.
Mahabalipuram, right?
Yes. Yes.
And you have built a hospital there and everything. So
Yes.
I've seen pictures. David sir told me about it like 2 years back when I met him first time.
Yeah.
Now, what have you built especially there?
So we've built these campuses in Pune and Chennai. We started off in Pune around 25 years ago, where we start off with a pre-med course, and then we send the students to the Philippines to complete the rest of their MD. But this is done in two places, both in Pune and Chennai. We have wonderful campuses set up over there, where we are training them basically everything that's needed in your first year medicine. We have all the facilities are there and more. Other than that, of course, we have a hospital set up also in Pune. We have a 450 bedded hospital where, of course, we're doing a lot of activities as well. We're planning for a lot of things in the future. When our students come back, some of them, if they want, they can practice in our setup as well. And we also run NEET coaching centers. We have FMG training programs. We also have a nursing and physiotherapy program, which are exclusively based in India, that is also in Pune. So these are some of the activities that we have in our campuses.
You're doing some great work for FMGs, Cadwin. I think not just FMGs, even nursing staff and everyone. I think kudos to you for your own setup and everything.
Thank you so much.
Now, my last question to you, Cadwin. Which country do you think is the most upcoming when we say in education for FMGs?
So upcoming, like I said, like I was speaking about earlier, when you speak about what the requirements are when the students are coming back to ensure quality education is ensured. When they come back to India, are they able to get to practice as a doctor? Are they able to pursue their dreams to go for further PG? All those things being considered with the reasons that I gave earlier, definitely Philippines I would endorse. There are other countries and colleges where specifically, you do have good quality education which is being provided, but this is generally a country that we would endorse. Yeah.
I think I would call this the question, the last one. This is the question I was meaning to ask like 5 to 6 questions back, but I'll still ask. If you have to rate the colleges based on effectiveness of their price, because I think every college has their own price range and everything, which college would you rate the number one and which college would you rate on the bottom based on the cost effectiveness?
Okay. So when it comes to cost effectiveness, there are, generally speaking, right now colleges which are able to, you're able to complete your course at a very low cost. Even right now, certain colleges in Russia.
Can you share the cost also, please?
No, costs can range anywhere between 20 to 23 lakhs for the entire curriculum. It can go all the way up to 70, 80 lakhs as well.
And which college is for 80 lakh rupees?
So 80 lakhs, I think there are certain countries such as Georgia where certain colleges, including all your other expenses, okay, it'll come up. Not the tuition fees only. I'm not speaking about tuition fees over here. So you have all your expenses. You also have certain colleges, even in the Philippines, which are going up to 60 lakhs. Okay, this is including all your expenses. Then there are certain colleges in Russia right now which are offering very, very low. Okay, you have 25, 30 lakhs even where the prices can be up to. That's because right now, of course, the Russian ruble is more affordable for the Indian rupee. So yeah, generally you have Russia, which is around 30, Philippines, which will go around 45. Then you have certain colleges in Georgia, which usually are around your 60 lakh range. This is all expenses. Okay. But this differs college to college, but these are generally what you will find in these countries.
And what about Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan?
So they all fall somewhere in between these. Okay. Kyrgyzstan, when you say, I would say it's between Russia and Philippines, where it's slightly higher. And then you have Kazakhstan also, which will fall somewhere in this, and sometimes even lower. Kyrgyzstan, in fact, there are certain colleges which have come up right now, which are even placed in 32, 33 lakh range. But yes, it depends on college to college. And in all these colleges, you are getting the same curriculum. Okay. So make your choice based on the performance, make your choice based on how well you are, you can see a future on completion of the courses in these colleges. All those things are very, very important. Also look at the alumni network and everything. That will be very, very helpful, because that will give you a good idea about how you're going to be placed after completion of the course as well. So all these things need to be taken into account.
So if you have to sum up the parameters, how a student should judge a medical college, can you just sum up the parameters for us?
Sure. So parameters, number one, see the FMG. FMG is going to give you a brief idea about how well the college is going to be performing. See how many students are getting through the FMG exam. Then see the alumni network, where the students are they doctors, how long this college has been running for. See the performance in their own local countries, in their own local examinations and other things. This is when it comes to the college itself. Then you can see other factors about the country, like we were speaking about accommodativeness of the people towards Indians, food, culture, language, all those things matter. So yeah, look at country, then you look at college, and then you can make your decisions. Clinical practice also really matters. But then other than just getting an idea from, because even me, I would say the best things about my own college, and everybody else will as well. But better than that would be go online, speak to alumni, speak to people who are out there, who are in the field. Ask them how is the clinical exposure, how's the future with these colleges. All that really makes gets you a good idea about how good a college would be.
All right, Cadwin, thank you so much for all the information regarding FMG, but the podcast has not come to an end.
Yeah.
We do have some rapid fire for you.
Oh.
The rapid fire is very simple. There are only 2 rules. You have to be super spontaneous and super truthful.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So, what's the one thing you would automate in your life?
WhatsApp messages.
True. Would you ever have you ever thought of moving to Philippines as your permanent living place?
I have quite a bit actually. I plan to live a few months in a year in the future over there.
Let's suppose if we had to move Philippines completely.
I love India too much for that to happen. Maybe a few months here and there.
One entrepreneur you had loved to have as your mentor.
Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs, generally speaking, he is just the way that he executed a lot of things.
What do you love about him?
The way how he was able to set himself apart from the competition, what new innovations he was able to introduce, and those styles have carried to other companies as well. Everybody is trying to emulate him.
The simplicity of that brand is one thing which always amazes me.
Yes.
That how on a blank screen, just a little bit of an apple can change everything.
That's it.
It goes from $10 to $110 by just that brand.
Just that one branding.
Crazy.
Yeah.
What's your dream vacation destination? Don't say Philippines, please.
No. Northern Lights. Somewhere where I can see the Northern Lights from.
Have you seen it till now?
Unfortunately, not yet. I've gone in the wrong time to the places which usually have them. But yeah, sometime for that.
Doctors versus engineers. Who parties harder?
Oh, that's a very, very tough question. Yeah, doctor or an engineer. But no, what I've seen is that doctors, they have less time in their hands. Engineers have a lot more time. So doctors, when they get that short time, they party a lot more harder in that short time that they do get. Engineers, they have a lot more time, so they take it a little bit more relaxed. So when you say party hard, I think it'll be doctors.
Thank you so much, guys, for watching today's show. I think it was a very emotional discussion, and I have loved every bit of it. And I stand by Cadwin's words. We need a change in the system. We need in the change in the system for FMGs. We do not want that they should be treated as a second-hand citizen. And I stand by my words. We will create a world where every doctor is respected equally, treated fairly, and India will be that place one day. Thank you so much. Let's stand by FMG doctors. We are your brothers. We are together till the very end. Thank you so much. Please do not forget to subscribe, like, and share with your friends. Thank you so much, and God bless you.